Hey guys, Karax50 with another review. This time I'll be reviewing the deluxe Tategami Hyoujuu Senki Wonder Ride book from Kamen Rider Saber. This is a special Wonder Ride book that lets Kamen Rider Blaze access his final form. So, let's get started. First, we'll look at the Tategami Hyoujuu Senki book on its own. So this book, whose title translates out to Maned Ice Beast Chronicle, is of course another big book. This one done up in a nice clear blue and white pattern. Size-wise, this is definitely the biggest Wonder Ride book we've gotten so far. For a comparison, here it is next to the previous power-up book for Blades, King Lion Dai Senki. It's definitely a lot bigger then. And it even dwarfs a Metal Dragon. So looking at the basic design, you can see very much an ice-like look to it, as well as some white paint on. They look like more solid kind of ice or snow. And you have the cover, with the title done up in the same font as the other Senki type books. Then you have the very nice cover image showing a white lion in a blizzard surrounded by various other animals. And that does play into the gimmick that we'll get into. Now, I just showed you something very interesting, which is that the buttons on the side, and that's actually something we'll get into when we get to this in the Sword Driver. As you can see from the back, it has the look of kind of a sideways Wonder Ride book. And indeed, it has all the makings of a Wonder Ride book, but on its side, even down to how the reader mark is actually kind of sideways to face upwards rather than sideways, but you do still have the speaker, the battery compartment, takes the button cell battery, so you just need to pull out the tab. You'll have the QR code back here, as well as a slider to activate the sounds. And yeah, these are the buttons that will be hit once it goes into the Seiken Sword Driver. So, first off, we'll pull the lever to activate the title announcement. So first up, we get to the first interesting point about this, which is that unlike every other Wonder Ride book, where you could open it manually by hand, you actually need to open it automatically using this lever here. So, by just using your thumb and sliding it down, that causes the book to open up entirely. And we have a very different looking story page because it doesn't really show anything that is kind of labeled or give us any kind of indication of what it's going to look like after transformation. Instead, we have this very nice sculpted in snowflake with what kind of looks like an ice mountain on the other page, or on the inside page. However, on this there actually is some writing, but it's just hard to see because of how it's in this clear blue plastic. However, this is actually in English, so I can kind of read that to you guys. Right here it says index, and then they have some other panels. So this one says beast at land. The middle one says animal at deep blue as in deep blue sea. And then the final one says earthly at sky. It's not perfect English, but that is what it reads. Additionally, you can't actually close it back up, not until we get the transformation. So instead, we'll get to the story sounds, of which there are 4, which you get by pressing down on the button or the lever while it's opened up. And that last one is actually pretty amusing if you know the character who transforms into Kamen Rider Blades. However, there is something that I can use to unlock it, which is this lever here, where we can kind of get a little bit of a preview of the gimmick. But let's save that for when we use it with the belt. Next up, we'll use Tategami Hyoujuu Senki with the Sword Driver and Suiseiken Nagare. Now, as everything has implied up to this point, instead of putting in the book upright, instead put it in on its side. That is also going to mean on my part I have to hold up the belt, because if I don't, the inner cover will actually collide with the table. And there we have the transformation for Kamen Rider Blade's Tategami Hyoujuu Senki, where you can see that the gimmick is that the book kind of opens up rather than opening up a page, but rather by opening up the mane, revealing this inner white lion, with this nice kind of snowflake mane to it. Then this part becomes the lower jaw, and then we have these 4 different pieces of the mane with different pictures on them. And that actually gets down to the main gimmick of it, which is down to the rotation. So, you have this lever here, which you push inward and down to rotate between the 4 different panels. And then, you will slide this lever to the right to add special attacks. So, let's go over them one by one. So we get the Ozora no Hyoujuu, or the ice beats of the great sky. So here we have 3 sky animals, an eagle, bat, and I believe what is a bee, for the Tategami Ozora Geki, or main great sky attack. Then we can get on to the next one. Alright, I don't want to do that one just yet. There we go. So that one, we have the Taikai no Hyoujuu, or Ice Beats of the Deep Sea, for the Tategami Taikai Geki. So here we have a whale, octopus, and hammerhead shark. Move on to the next one. You get the Daichi no Hyoujuu, or Ice Beats of the Great Land, for the Tategami Daichi Geki. So here we have our land animals: a leopard, hedgehog, and elephant. Then you get to the last one. Which is the Hyakudai Hyoujuu, or 100 animals, 100 ice beats rather. And so this is basically the kind of blade's power attack. And after that, you put back in the sword. Then activate the lever here for the final attack.
Hissatsu Touketsu. Nagare, Battou, Tategami, Hyoujuu.
So have the Nagare Touketsu for the Tategami Hyouga, or something akin to Blizzard Slash, main Blizzard Slash. Not to mention we also have the attack from the sword itself. The Kakse Sareta Dobutsu Isatsugiri, with Kakse Sareta Dobutsu meaning awakened animal. So basically the special big book attack for animal type books. Additionally, we can also scan Tategami Hyoujuu Senki on Ankokuken Kurayami. As you can see, though, it's a little bit tricky because they pretty much shifted over where the reader mark would be compared to a normal one ride book. So actually it might be easier if you put it and scan it on its side. And of course it gets read as giant animal. Now, as a bit of a last note, I also want to kind of just cover a few last things. The way I demonstrated this was a very lucky example of what happens when everything goes right, but that's not always the case. In that the spinning main does not always lock into place properly. For example, while not shown there, it often has a tendency to basically stop at an angle like this. That can also sometimes happen if you rotate it improperly. But mine seems to be wanting to cooperate more often than it usually does, so I can't properly demonstrate it. As well as just want to show you that the way to close it back up is to carefully place back in all 4 pieces of the main, and you do want to be careful about it, because if you move it to the left a bit, that'll cause them to unlock again. And then close it back up. And there we go. So overall, this is another standout Wonder Ride book, and definitely perhaps the most unique one we've had thus far, since it does so many things different from the normal books, and even other power-up books. This gets down to both the stylization of it, how it doesn't really have a proper story page, or even henshin page, as well as how it has that internal gimmick of the spinning main, plus how it goes in sideways rather than upright, which does kind of mean it can't exactly combo well with other Wonder Ride books, since there would definitely be a lot of clashing, but a lot of times these power-up books aren't meant to go along with other Wonder Ride books anyways, with the exception of Primitive Dragon. As far as the way it kind of makes use of its gimmick, it is at the same time somewhat reminiscent of last year's Rampage Gatling Progress Key, with how that one had the different rampages, then the rider attack, and then the special attack. But I do think it still does enough to separate itself from that, and not really feel too much like a repeat. So if you're a fan of Kamen Blades and have the Sword Driver and Suiseiken Nagare emblem, I can definitely recommend getting this book to complete your collection. Next time, we'll be taking a look at the Change Heroes to Kaiser. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. And for now, this is KRX50, writing off.